Okay, farm girl, we're getting these questions again, and the question is about the longevity of our relationship, our marriage.
Yeah.
We get that from time to time,
Mm-hmm.
and we've talked about it before, but I think we should have another talk and maybe delve into it a little more than we have in the past.
Sounds like fun.
So we could do like a walk and talk.
Yeah.
And let's see, how long have we been together for the record?
31 years?
31 years. Yeah, that sounds
Yes.
right. How long were we together as kids before we were married?
3.5 years?
I think
Ish.
that's really
Yeah.
important. It's an
Yeah.
important part of this.
I had to make sure.
Getting to know you. Yeah. Okay, so let us go and have a walk and talk.
Sounds good.
Okay.
My nose is running.
That's what happens when you walk. Keep the system moving, everything's flowing. So I'm out here walking with my best friend, my lovely wife, who you know is Farm Girl, and I know is the mother of my children, and just my best bud for a long time,
Besties.
for a very long time.
Yeah. Since I was a teenager.
Yeah,
19.
I wasn't far out of my teens.
Yeah,
I was
you're 23.
23. And that was
Babies.
over 30 years ago. But we were watching the boob tube the other night. God, I hate to admit that.
Why?
So we were watching television,
It's just relaxing.
and we saw, or were we on the internet? We saw
think we
an
were on the internet.
interview. That's right. It was YouTube.
It was YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. So we were watching YouTube, and I was looking up songs that we used to
Yeah.
listen to all the time, and the band Toto came into my focus. Do you remember Toto? I suppose named after Dorothy's dog,
Oh God.
the Wizard
really?
of Oz.
They were awesome.
They might have been guys from Kansas. I didn't do the
Still
biography thing, but we found ourselves watching a more contemporaneous video. Is that how you say that? Contemporary video. About
The band.
and the band, and these guys were talking about the history of the band, and they were all still together in our age range, maybe even a little older than us.
Yeah, probably.
And
2 years.
it occurred to me straight away that they were defining what we know as our marriage.
Yeah.
Our relationship is what they were describing. And I guess the interviewer was pointing out that it was unique that bands could stay friends and
Stay
not
together
just
and
bands,
working
not
together.
just stay a band, yeah,
Yeah.
a working band together and stay united, but also to be friends
Yeah.
and not hate each other, like
And
so many of these rock bands that were prone to excess. you
Yep.
know.
And the one guy was saying, I always wanted to please them. I just was always doing what I could to make them happy and to basically wow them.
And that's you need to say no more than that
Yeah.
to explain what makes a marriage
And the
last.
other two were like, what? No, that's what I was doing.
Well, the other one said, I was always doing my best to impress them,
yeah.
by bringing good material, by just being my best on drums that day or
Yeah.
whatever, on guitar,
Yeah.
keyboards. I was always trying to impress my friends, my partners, my comrades. So they were all benefiting financially, in the sense of ego. They were benefiting
supporting each
spiritually,
other.
yeah, but they were all bringing as much as they could to the table. They weren't reaching into the center of the table and grabbing the cash or the chips or whatever, the recognition.
Yeah.
They were all putting in as much as they could.
Yep.
And together
And
they
they're-
would share it.
And their band lasted longer than any of their marriages.
That's one guy
Because
said
that's
that.
what they were putting their attention to. Their positive attention was
Yeah.
the band,
Yeah.
the relationship.
So there must have been a love, a sense of partnership,
Oh, yeah.
camaraderie, and,
Yep.
yeah, and fierce loyalty.
Yeah.
And that is kind of what we have experienced in our relationship.
Yeah.
We've always tried to be there and give more.
And we've been focused on the same types of things. Like even from when we first met, we were reading like self-help, positive thought books.
Yeah, isn't that
The
interesting?
same books We were like, what? You're reading that? No way.
Yeah, we were.
I just read that. It was crazy.
You know, I from time to time I get these commenters. It's mostly guys that say, "Well, he's sure married up. Well, you sure got lucky and married above your pay grade or whatever." And it's funny, and it's usually, well, to me, it's jealous guys because I've got a fabulous friend. But there's some truth to that. You know, we were.
I just had it easier growing up.
Well, you had a good life, and that was fantastic. You had a good upbringing, good parents, and your parents focused on your education, which was wonderful. You were at Tulane Business School, and I was just coming out of a kind of a shitty
childhood.
Well, it was beautiful, but it was at the same time messed up, and there's poverty. It was a childhood of poverty, but I had dreams and ambitions and goals, and I knew what I wanted, and I had an idea of how to go about it.
Yeah.
And being positive, making myself a more positive person was part of that. So we were of the same mind.
Yeah.
We were both reading the same kind of stuff, as she mentioned, and that's what made it really interesting. And that's what kind of our relationship kind of bloomed out of that, probably as much as anything, as much as physical attraction. God, you were cute. Still are.
You are
sexy little thing. Just beautiful, fun,
model.
vivacious, different than any girl I'd ever met. No hang-ups, no game playing, no ulterior motives, none of that. Just you just wanted you wanted to have fun.
Yeah, I like to have fun.
And you wanted to be successful. You wanted the best things in life, but you weren't snooty. You weren't snobby. You didn't have to have the best wine, and you didn't
even know what that was.
Know about those things. But you wanted good things in your life, and you focused on that, and you would have them.
Yeah.
One way or another, and that attracted me. And
I'm glad.
Me too. So we
from across the bar at Fat Harry's.
So we had, that's funny. So
across the room.
We had a fun relationship.
Yeah.
And we just worked on it, and always each of us was trying to impress or please the other one.
Still are.
And that's what made it. Yeah, and you have your rough spots, like you have stresses. We had a lot of stresses about money.
Oh yeah.
Because we were, out there in Southern California with kids, and so there were a lot of stressors. But
gotta work through it.
We worked through it, and we realized the investment at hand, and how rewarding this thing could be.
Yeah.
And if you recognize those things, and you've got somebody that with you that recognizes those things,
that's the key.
That's the key.
Yep.
If you have someone,
you just try and do as much as you can for the other person.
Yeah.
And it makes them want to do more for you.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going back and forth.
And if you're in a relationship, with someone who doesn't get that, then you've got to educate them. Then you're spending all this time trying to educate and bring a person up to your speed, and then that becomes a stressor, right? Because the other person feels judged, and then I just think that's a relationship that's not working.
Well, you're just not on the same.
You're not on the same level.
Wavelength.
And then a lot of people, we wonder why so many marriages fail. A lot of people will be at that point where maybe they have one person that's willing and desperately wanting to have a great relationship and work hard to build it, and another that's not on the same page.
Yeah.
And then that person will go ahead and get married anyway, and that's just a destined to fail kind of situation.
Very stressful.
Yeah, so
hopefully you get lucky.
Yeah.
Find someone that's willing to work too.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. And we were of the same mind. We were cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
And it just worked out.
Yeah.
You could say we got very lucky.
Yeah.
But we were into the whole.
We create our own luck.
Yes, we both believe that.
Yeah.
And you have helped me with the problem that I've had over the years was I still have a problem with focusing on negative things. Yeah. Although I know that I shouldn't.
You expect the best from people. That's why you get frustrated when you don't see the best.
Yeah. I have issues with people, and I try to stay out of groups and crowds and What kind of phobia is that? No, I don't have any mental issue or whatever you call that. What is that?
No,
Not agoraphobia, is it?
No, that's. Well, maybe it is.
Certainly not arachnophobia.
No. I forget.
I'm just kidding. We proved that yesterday. So, there you go. What is partnership? What is friendship? It's you wanting to do more. It's you competing to do more, to bring more to the relationship than your partner.
Yeah.
And having a partner that's doing that too. See,
Yeah.
both people have to be doing
Feed
that.
off of each other.
Yeah.
And then you can remind each other when you're starting to get a little bit negative about stuff. You just remind the other person. They're like, oh yeah, I can turn this around in my head.
Yeah.
There's a spider on there.
And then what about
On the camera.
oh, what about recognition? You recognize each other. You promote each other. You
Yeah.
applaud each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Lift each other up.
Lift each other up. I frequently tell this woman what a wonderful woman she is.
You do. You're so
She does the same with me. And we have a little mutual admiration society. And that may sound cheesy, but I think that's important too.
Yeah, definitely.
To always be complimentary
Noticing
to your partner, noticing the good things, and what does that help to do? It helps to take the focus off of the negative and bring it to the positive.
Yeah, and then
you
see more and more positive.
And you say, it's not manipulation. It is honesty. You say, I love this about you. This
Yeah.
is what impresses me so much about you. She says this stuff all the time to me. And it builds your partner up. It fills them with confidence. It reminds them, it resounds, it tells them they're going the right direction. They're doing things that pleases the partner, etc. So we're focusing on the positive and eschewing the negative.
Yeah. We just let that go.
Keep all that negative self-speak and negativity about your partner out of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about it.
Takes practice.
That's about all we know about that stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, there's a million little details.
Stuff you know is just you kind of need to be reminded.
You need to be reminded. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And
Stay plugged in.
I see a whole lot of people focusing on negative thoughts and spewing negative things, and even on here, even in our comments, just people. It blows our mind when people take time out of their day to just try to cut somebody down or ridicule them. We don't care. It happens to us 24/7.
They're all doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we got used to that stuff years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter to us.
Kinda
but
had to.
It astounds us, that people will say ugly things about her and ugly things about me. And we just think and we don't really feel sorry for those people because they're just doing what
spewing
they're
their
supposed to be
negativity.
doing,
Yeah.
like you
And
say.
It's kind of like a spiral, but you can't help somebody. They have to help themselves. So.
Yeah, so you have to
Yeah.
at least try to know that is simply
better.
shocking to some people. To people who grow up in those negative environments, it's not shocking. It's just part of life.
Right,
That's how they
right.
grew up. They grew up with
You
a
need
father
to somehow break
calling
out
them
of
a
that.
dumbass all the time and
Yeah.
insulting them, and that's not the good life. The good life is one where you break out of that cycle. I had to break out of it. I had a very abusive, more so physically and psychologically, but more so psychologically,
Yeah.
father. And
Luckily, your mother was very.
yeah, somehow I thought, no, this is not normal. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And my father berating me and my siblings, and just horrible, mean psychological abuse, warfare.
Turn that around.
So you got to turn that around. You got to. If you want to get into an abiding, wholesome relationship with somebody, you have to come at it with a wholesome nature. You have to reinvent that in yourself.
And you have to love yourself.
And you love yourself by saying,
Accept
hey,
yourself.
The people in the situations of the past that were so negative
Are the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You let all that stuff go and you create a new you. And then you can merge with another person who wants to be with a positive, loving person who's on the right path.
Yeah.
So, well, there we go.
So go out there and get them.
Go get them, Tiger. Love you guys. Thank you.
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. Thanks for watching.